So we just kind of culminated some of the ideas that we do to kind of end your semester. We're using actually to kind of anchor our presentation, we're using this article. I'm just going to share it with them, Gretchen, because I think it would be helpful. I'll put this in the chat. And I just thought it would be helpful to just kind of talk about some of the things we do, and then we'll ask you to kind of share as well any tips that you have just that help, you know, close out each and every semester. So there was a great article just that talks about obviously going and finishing strong, and it says stay strong, or start strong, stay strong, and finish strong by always remembering why you're doing it in the first place. So it's always good to just kind of keep that in mind as we're wrapping up the semester, why we teach, you know, the connections that we have with our students are so important, and we want to support them through these last couple weeks, because this is kind of the push. And, you know, I think finals week is very stressful for our students.
I agree.
Yeah. So do you want to read these real quick, and then I'll start with 1 and 2?
Yeah, sure. And I've got, yes, yeah. So Angela found this article, and and she sent it over my way, and I thought, you know, a little bit about, you know, how I finish up my semester and what's worked well for me. And I felt that this article really gave some really good actual emails that you could just copy and paste out to your students. But one of the things he says to finish strong is, number 1, start by helping your students survive the week. And so we'll discuss each of these individually. Number 2, show your students how far they've come, which I think is one of the things that I feel very strongly about. 3, capture feedback from your students. Remind your students to keep in touch. And finally, sending your students off on a high note. Again, we're going to go through each one of these. And Angela, if you want to start by helping your students survive the week.
Sure. So again, according to the article, they said, the author was Frank O'Neill, it looks like. And he said that he gives like this kind of email that just helps them to kind of just take care of themselves during that last week. And some of the things that he outlined in the email was, you know, just get as much good sleep as you can, stay hydrated, get the blood pumping, focus on healthy foods, get your mind right. But what I was going to share, what I've done in the past with my students, is I've shown this video that talks about how to handle stress. And it's a very short video. And then I also have handouts that correlate with the video. So I'm going to show that to you guys right now.
Okay.
And it's, you've probably already seen it, and it's about handling like your stress bucket. So I'm going to share this video. It's cute. And then I'm going to share the handouts, because you never know, it might help one student, it might help all your students, you know. Yeah, I love it.
Oh, you didn't share the volume.
Oh.
It's okay.
Yeah, you know why? It's because I have my AirPods in.
No, you just have to click the button.
Usually seen as something we need to avoid. This is not true. We need stress, and we need our body's stress hormone cortisol to rise and fall throughout the day. Stress helps us wake up in the morning, helps us focus, learn, and remember new things. It's when people experience too much stress and start having difficulties coping that stress becomes a problem. Levels of stress can disrupt the natural changes in the body's stress response system and start to affect our physical and mental health. Over time, accumulated stress can result in false FFF response activations. When trying to measure our stress tolerance, the bucket analogy can be helpful. Our stress tolerance, or the size of our bucket, is a product of our genes, personality, and life experiences, and its size varies from person to person. The water in this analogy is the combination of all the stress in your life. We use the coping strategies we have available to keep our bucket from overflowing. They are like taps that allow water to drain from the bucket. Stress can include training, work, school, relationships, finances, moving, changing jobs, or the loss of a loved one. Both positive and negative experiences will affect the water level.
I can't be in there. I have
It will hold more water or stress before it overflows. With a smaller bucket, less water is required for the water or stress level to become critical. While you can't change the size of your bucket, you can make life adjustments to reduce water coming in. You can also learn new coping strategies and stress management techniques to allow water to drain out. Mind tools, exercise, quality sleep, relaxation, and sharing your feelings with friends are some examples of effective water taps. Staying up late, sleeping in, drugs, inactivity, procrastination, suppressing or ignoring problems are examples of unhelpful coping strategies or false taps. They might give temporary relief, but actually result in water flowing back into your bucket. This video was created by Brave.
All right, so let me just do one thing really quick. Can you hear me?
Angela, I thought that was a really great video because I think that we do forget all of the things that do cause additional stress on us, and then we just in life just go through thinking that, oh, I'm under stress because of these finals, and not taking into account everything that the students really are, and adding COVID and the anxiety that people are having now, now that we're back into another stay-at-home order and everything. I think that adds to the students' stress level.
Oh, yes.
Oh, definitely. I actually think we could actually share this with our students at the beginning of the semester, during the middle of the semester, right? We could do it right now. They get ready for finals week. Go ahead, Monroe. Did you say something?
Yes, I'm going to say a good point, because I've been talking to them about getting ready for finals, and you have all your assignments in, and you don't want to be late with your assignments. We have deadlines, but it's good to just keep them at ease all throughout this level. Keep them at ease and let them know that it's okay, and just make sure that you manage your stress in the proper level. So it's okay. So this is good for all of us, really. Great for all of us.
Well, it is a good reminder.
And Monroe, I like the fact that you had said that, because I was when I was looking at this and thinking about I'm trying to turn my volume down in my ears, not for you. When I was thinking about this, and Angela, to your point about the stress and how to do it, and Monroe, you just made a good point of what you do, is that's one of the things that I do to relieve my students' stress, is to remind them. Like, that's what I did yesterday. That's what I did today. I'm like, oh my gosh, can you guys believe we're only like after today's class, we're only 3 classes out before finals? Let's talk about that. Let's look at what our next 4 classes are going to look like. If they have a project, I gave them the project last week so that they could manage that stress level. And Angela, when you say about the sleep and stuff, like, that's what I said to one of my classes this morning. I was like, listen, you guys, don't wait till the last minute to cram for a test. The test is going to be over these chapters. You've had 3 of my tests this semester. I'm like, don't wait till the last minute to help try to reduce that stress, is one of the tips that I do.
That's great. And then I just put in the chat this 3-page PDF that explains the stress bucket, and then it also gives the students, it's too bad we're not in face to face.
Angela, do it again, because you sent it actually to Laura, because you're go to everyone. You're good.
Yep, thank you.
I love that worksheet.
Oh, wait a minute. So you guys didn't even get the other.
There you go.
Okay, so here's the link to the stress bucket handout. So this would be something you could share with your students. And then let me give you the link to the article that we're referencing today. So those are there, those two there.
Thank you.
All right, so moving along, let me pull up the PowerPoint. And then the next one, I have another handout again. So according to the article, you know, he says to celebrate and share your students' accomplishments throughout the semester, almost like maybe a recap of your experience in class, and how potentially it says it could have changed their life or impacted their choices or their goals or something like that. And so this is another thing that I've done with my classes. And it's just a 4-question document. So I'm going to put that in the chat because I want you guys to walk away with some stuff you could just use automatically. And here's what it looks like. In the Google Doc I shared, it does not have these beautiful objects here. So this is kind of how I have them just think about the semester. You know, what has stretched your thinking, something you didn't know about before, and you're grateful you know it now. What falls into my current thinking? So what did you learn in class that aligns with your beliefs or goals? Name 3 aha moments I had in class, something that gave you, huge insight or discovery. And then is there something that you're still maybe unsure of or concepts you want to learn more about? And so you can have them fill this out online and you can keep this data to help you even prepare for, next semester if you're teaching the same class. Do any of you guys do anything like this?
So Angela, I do the same thing as I send an email out, but I have 3 questions. The first question is, when they're finished with the semester, I ask them, what was one thing that you already knew, like, that I taught? What was one thing that you learned? And then also, what was one thing that you would use? Like, when you're going to go out, what are you going to use that you learned in my class? So just to get an idea of what, because I always think of what they learned and what they're going to use. Those were like the hot topics. And what I've learned also is that those are usually similar to a lot of students. They're answering the same thing. So I know that those were good lectures, and things like that. So I take from that as well.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything that you guys are doing that you want to share in terms of ending out the semester? Go ahead.
I do because I'm in visual communications, so I do I'll show my picture. So I do a website because now the students have access to the Adobe Creative Suite, so I have them do a template website of their top 15 images for the year, and then they can present it to the class. So it kind of gives them an idea of all of the good work they've done. I mean, they shoot a lot more than 15 photos, but they can pick their 15 best and put it on a website. It makes it look.
I love that.
Yeah, it looks good. So that's what I do. But I'm going to use this document to create a questionnaire. That's a super good idea because I'm feeling like I didn't do enough.
Just don't even go there. We've done as best we can, right? With the given circumstances. So don't even,
Katie, I think you came in a little late when I called this semester, we're almost done with the hell that we've been put in, right? So,
Yeah, I'm trying not to think of it like that, but
Yeah.
it's been a little tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and every day we can, get better. So, all right, that was 3. It was actually 2 and 3 kind of together. So, let me see what 4 was.
4
Oh,
is
yeah, go ahead.
keeping your students in touch. Yeah. So, there was one thing that I did. Well, okay, I'll say it at the end. So, reminding your students to keep in touch. This is something that I actually do throughout the semester. Usually not at the beginning, but it's after I've sort of, made a connection with my students and have some sort of relationship. And I like to talk to my students about keeping in touch with me. And I actually do a project and a lecture in a couple of my classes. So it really depends on what you teach, where I do a scenario and I tell them that I want to hear from them in 4 years. And then I make the comment at the end, like, because it's like you're going to get this, you get this far and you're not going to know your answer for another, year or two. So, in 4 years, at least give me a call, to stay in touch. But I talk to them then sort of throughout the rest of the semester of their importance of staying in touch with me, whether it's coming and taking another class with me, whether it's coming and, asking for a letter of recommendation that I, write letter of recommendations. If it's, you're opening up, because I teach business, if you're ever opening up a business and you need some help or some suggestions or some contacts, please reach out to me. And one of the ways that I now do it is I have in a lot of my classes, I have a LinkedIn project built into my class, but in the classes that I don't, I tell my students to join me in LinkedIn. So for the last 3 years, almost every single one of my students that I've had has joined me in LinkedIn so that we stay connected. I think it's really important. I think that we as Triton College professors, we're our students' first touch point into college, for some of them into the real world. And I just think that it's, it's one of those things that they come out of high school and they come to us and we are, really their first, maybe relationship to outside of that. And it's, it's worked. I've stayed in touch with a lot of my students moving forward. I think it gives them gives them some sort of something solid as well. So that's how I do it. I don't know if anybody else out there it has any other ways that they do that I can steal from, because I take any suggestions.
Mm-hmm. I love that LinkedIn idea. That's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I actually, I'm going to, when we're talking, I'll give you the assignments that I give to the students. I'll copy it for you guys if you want to use the assignment, and then you could use it for any of your classes. I mean, why not?
That would be great. Yeah.
Everybody
needs that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I agree.
Great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's a great idea.
The other thing, go ahead, Katie.
I just said that's a great idea. We had an Instagram account now for VIC, so I'm trying to get all the students to follow the Triton VIC Instagram, and then they can also share photos on there. So
That's
kind of
smart
fun.
too. Yeah, or even a Twitter,
Mhm.
because like I have a Twitter for my education club, and so that would be also a way I could have my connect with my students. The other thing I forgot to mention in step 3 was the author mentioned to have students write a letter to a future student on like how to succeed in your course, and I thought that was a clever way. Have any of you done anything like that?
No, but I read that and I thought it was clever as well.
I know. I thought that was really cool. All right, and then number 5. Let me move forward.
That's okay.
Oh yeah.
All right, so sending your students off on a high note. I took this a couple of ways. I took it as, I read what he said, but I took it off in my mind too. So I always think send your students off on a high note is right now, like, and I sort of said this at the beginning of right now is like 2 weeks out. I want my students to like look back on their semester and feel really good and moving forward so I say things to them like to keep them motivated and to get through these last 2 weeks and keep them motivated. If you gone to our seminars before you hear, I send out a Monday email to every one of my classes, and it sort of outlines for them what we're going to be doing that week. So this week's Monday email in my classes, I started the emails with, we're in the home stretch, or almost there, 2 weeks to go, or finish strong, guys, you have done such an awesome job, or I see the light at the end of the tunnel, do you? 2 weeks left. Keep up the good work. We're almost done. So that's how I started all my emails, because I want them, and so next Monday it's going to be some other obnoxious beginning of the email to keep them motivated, to keep them in their positive mindset, finishing up the semester and so forth, and then sending them off on a high note. It's one of those things, like I said to my students today, because all my classes are going to be doing virtual exams. So I said to them, I'm like, listen, next Thursday is going to be our last class together. I'm looking forward to, sitting down and really talking to you guys about, where you guys are going to see yourself in a year from now, and all the things that we've done this semester. And, in some of the students I have really good relationships with. So I've, emailed them on the side saying, now don't forget when the semester's over to reach out and let me know, did she say yes when you asked her to marry her? So, things like that. Those are some of the things that I think of when I see this on a high note. Anybody else?
Well, these are good, definitely good points. I try to encourage my students, even when they're doing their homework. I indicate, well, you've done a great job. Thanks. This is great. Thanks. Thank you for this. And then even though I don't tell them, well, now is not the time to relax. Do not relax. But I say, just keep focused, work hard, and all of you are doing great. So I try to send that out to the student, even though this is a rigorous type of class that I'm teaching, anatomy and physiology, and a lot of the students, I shouldn't say a lot, but a few of them are already in hospitals, and they are tending to patients, COVID patients, and so forth. So I tell them to just try to keep a positive attitude, work hard, and we'll all get through this. And I always throw myself in there. We'll get through this. I know this is a difficult course, a difficult class, but you can do it, because they've all received information about the class that, oh, this is a terrible class, a tough class, but it's all about how you speak to your students and relax them so that they don't get frightened away and oh, I got to drop this course, I got to drop this class. So those are very good points that are coming out, and I will use them in the future, definitely.
I love just everything that you said, that just definitely makes your students feel comfortable, feel like you're in it together. That's perfect, Monroe. So thank you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, they need the encouragement more so now than ever. So it's just so hard for all of us. So I think that was
Angela,
the last slide, right?
Can I just copy my Google? Sorry to interrupt. Can I just copy my Google, the headline, and copy that? Is that how I do it? So I took
Yes.
my LinkedIn assignment, I threw it into a Google Doc, and now I'm just going to copy the top thing.
Except you've got to say, you have to make sure when you click share that it's anyone on the internet with the link can open.
Oh, okay. So hold on, share.
You might want to go to the share button in the top right and do it that way.
Okay.
So while Gretchen's sharing her document, any other questions for us? We wanted to keep this short and sweet. I think the little tips we heard from you and our little documents, you know, make sure you keep those in a safe spot and you can share it with your students if you found it helpful.
Very helpful, definitely.
Oh, I know what I wanted to say while I was doing that, Angela. I don't know if that worked. I think it did. I'm a new learner of
Yes,
Google.
you got it. Thank you.
Did I? Yay. Okay. So one other thing I wanted to share too that I do is that last week I sent out in my Monday email, and I will send it also the last day of class when when all their grades have been submitted. I sent out an email that says, again, thanks so much for everybody being in my class. I really enjoyed you, blah, blah, blah. Your grades have been completed. You'll be able to see them in your portal in the next 48 hours. And by the way, these are the classes that I'm teaching next semester. I sent it 2 weeks ago when the semester opened to register, and I'm going to send it again like the day of finals, so that there's a 3-week difference between it, because they can always go back, and I send it through announcements in Blackboard to see it. But I will tell you, as of this morning, every single one of my classes has students in it, and some of my online classes have 10 and 15 students already. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things that if you can get you end up the session getting your courses out immediately, like now when they start to register or are starting to think about it, you can also start building your base of students as well. So that's another tip that I do.
That was great. That was a really good idea.
I forget about that
Love
one
it.
sometimes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that concludes our session. You'll be getting a evaluation form at some point in an email. And again, we thank you so much for attending. Anything else?
I'm hoping you guys all attend it. We're currently working on our calendar for